Don't be afraid of failures. Go out, make a change, improve something. If you have a business idea, execute on it. Don't sit on the sideline. Don't try to contemplate, if it's going to work or it's not going to work. It may not work. That is fine too. But that doesn't mean that you go out blindly. Do your diligence, figure out, what's the next steps, and then go with it.
Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, the mind can achieve.
Welcome to the Dream Big and Think Different podcast, where we inspire, impact, and empower.
Progress is impossible if you always do things the way you have always done things.
It's time to dream big. Here's your host, Dr. Sachin Maskey.
Our guest and my good friend and another dreamer of Syed Gilani, who has a very inspiring story and a lot of things we're going to learn today. I'm very excited and honored to have Syed in our show. I'm, again, very happy, and hopefully we can get a lot of knowledge from him today. And welcome to the show, Syed.
Thank you very much for having me, Dr. Maskey. I've been a big fan of yours. I've been following your podcast for quite some time, and I make sure that I listen to them because there's wisdom hidden in every one of them. So thank you for having me as your guest today. I know we've been trying to schedule it for some time, but today is the day. We're making it happen when the storm is coming towards Massachusetts and we risk losing power and internet. So I think this is a good time to go for it.
Thank you. Thank you so much again. So a little bit background at how we met and, why we're doing this and all that. So actually, first time I still remember I was in the plane and I got a text from one of my medical school friend he introduced Syed in the group text telling me, hey, there's a guy who's starting this company doing amazing and you guys should connect. And I think we got connected and finally we got a chance to talk over. I was driving back from my work and I think it was like 15 minutes we talked. Right. And I was thinking, is this my old friend or I'm meeting for the first time? I felt like I've known Syed for a long time. In 15 minutes, I was so happy that we got connected. And so, you felt me that I felt that I was his friend, for forever. So again, welcome to the show, brother. And today, is going to be exciting. And anyone listening to this today, I would highly recommend to listen to this show and completely, A little bit background again with Syed about him, and I'm going to read his bio, and he can tell more about it if I miss something. So, Syed is award-winning CEO of early and mid-growth companies with more than 30 years experience in technology and international business, and executive-level experience at multiple tech companies. As a seasoned entrepreneur with a global vision and international business, he has proven experience in transferring business ideas to profitable global enterprise with deep understanding of North American, European, Asian, and Caribbean markets. Syed is innovative and creative entrepreneurs and founders of multiple international business, including Safer Care, which we're going to talk today, a next generation healthcare transportation tech company. He's also a graduate of Harvard University and regular contributes to Forbes magazine. And today we're going to, again, I'm very thrilled and honored to have you on the show. Today we're going to focus on the journey of entrepreneurship and challenges that we're going to have in entrepreneur life. Before we start the first question, I want to disclaim everybody here listening. I'm actually one of the investor myself in one of his company. He started Safer Care, which is valued at Series A, $50 million. And I'm also advisory board. So again, Syed, my first question for you today is, who is Syed and why he's in this world? Okay,
so I'm Syed Gilani. I'm the CEO of Safer Care, but I was born in Pakistan, Lahore, many moons ago. And frankly speaking, very early on, I got the bug of entrepreneurship. I was very much interested in creating something that was never created before. I belong to a business and political family, a renowned business and political family out of Pakistan. But my idea of work was not to do the same thing that people have been doing since Pharaoh's ages. Try to come up with new ideas and how to improve the society, how to improve the overall infrastructure for human life. And that got me to entrepreneurship at a very early stage. At the age of 14, I was building companies. And by the time I was 20, I was running pretty large companies. So very early age, I learned business not from the business school, but from the school of hard knocks. I did end up in doing an MBA, but still I had the knowledge about what would work and how would it work. And like you mentioned in your intro, I worked in Asia and South Asia, in particular, Middle East, Europe, Caribbean, and the US. So understanding the cultural background, understanding the religious background, understanding the social background of people, and then be able to relate to them, that came in naturally to me, because over a period of time, I've been traveling and I've been meeting people. Like, for instance, I'll give you an example. You cannot have a deal with anybody in the Middle East without having a couple of dinners with them and going out with them, right? So we were just discussing that.
Absolutely.
Especially, if you're dealing with the Caribbean, there is something called Caribbean time, which means that if you give somebody 4:00 time, they're not showing up at 4:00. They show up at 5:00.
Same with Nepali time.
Exactly. So with that, you need to understand, how you're reaching out. So me being Syed Gilani, who's been blessed to have a chance to live around the world and be able to meet so many interesting people like yourself and many others. It's been an absolute journey and amazing journey and a great blessing on me, in the sense that I've been able to grasp so much of knowledge and understand so much of nuances behind human behavior that helped me in becoming a better entrepreneur, if you will, understanding where people are coming from, understanding their point of view, and then being able to find the solution for them in the tech space or in the now AI space side of it. I tell people that all my memories are I was born and then I was working. So I've been in entrepreneurship, and the lessons people learn in 20s and 30s, I was lucky enough to learn those lessons in my teens. So in 20s and 30s, the failures or the fear of failures or how you can grow something, I was able to process that out fairly quickly, early stage.
Yeah. Wow, man, that's amazing. So, I mean, I was very inspired, but what your journey went through, and I think my podcast, as you know, is a dream big and think different, and you have that quality. You're a dreamer, and I wanted to know, going back again, your single digit age, like when you were 8, 9, 10. I don't know, you remember, but what was your childhood dream?
I wanted to be a doctor, frankly speaking.
Really?
Yeah, I wanted to be a doctor. I went to med school. I was really good at biology and chemistry.
Okay.
So that I was one of the best. I actually went to pre-med.
Wow. I think you told me that. Yeah.
Yeah. So we went to pre-med. I wanted to be a doctor. I wanted to be a cardiologist. My family is has a lot of doctors. So that was my childhood dream, to be a doctor and a surgeon and help people, like yourself, like you are, like many others in your friend circle. I have huge admiration for your profession. That is ingrained in helping people, and
absolutely,
that was the goal. That was frankly the dream. Now, how it changed was a very interesting story. My dad was traveling with the principal of a med school, one of the largest med school in Pakistan.
This is Pakistan.
Pakistan, and then the principal said, "What does your older son do and elder do?" And he said, "Oh, he's becoming a doctor." And he said, "What do you do?" He said, "I'm a businessman." And he said, "Then who's your son?" And I was like, well, "What do you mean?" He said, "He's going to be studying until he's 35, and then he's going to be working, and he's going to be studying more. And then that study never ends until you're 45 or 50. You're constantly improving and studying, and he's not going to be helpful to you in whatsoever way in your business. So you're going to end up in losing your son to medicine." My dad came home, and the funny story is, although I was pretty good at math, I had studied advanced math and all that, but I never enjoyed math. I enjoyed sciences on the other side. And my dad convinced me to leave sciences, and you know how this happens in South Asia. You go by the whim of your parents. So I ended up.
We have very few limited options.
Exactly. Doctors, engineers, government job, or whatever you can be in. Yeah. So I follow what my dad was saying. I left medicine, and I still remember that was a very emotional day for me, or for a week actually, or many weeks. Because that was my dream all my life. I grew up with that, that I wanted to be a doctor or a surgeon. And I could have been a heck of a surgeon, I mean, like it was a passion. And I studied economics and finance, and ended up in studying for 6 years, undergrad and grad, and wanted to be a developmental economist. So go into rural areas and developing countries and help people over there. And but then life took a turn and moved me towards technology space and introduced me towards technology, and that technology was a game changer for me. I was able to see that how humans can produce something that is going to change humanity forever, but you can't even feel and touch it. Like normally you can produce in factories, like in my dad's factories, you could produce something that you can feel and touch. You can export, you can import. There's an import duty, there's an export duty, there is a letter of credits, and so on and so forth. And there are some micro and macroeconomic policies that will impact on those decisions as a businessman. But in tech space, I realized that, oh, wow, you can set up a tech place in like Kathmandu in Nepal and upload something in the US, and it will happen. The movement of the goods or services will happen in real time. And like you're sitting in your place and I'm sitting in my place, and we are talking because of technology. And that gravitated me towards exploring it further and trying to figure out what else can we do, what else can be improved, where the society is heading as a human society. And that's where my development economics background come in, and where exactly, the gaps are, and how can we fill in those gaps, and how can we help improve people's lives. Absolutely. That was the start of my entrepreneurship life, and I was able to figure out that kind of, a method through which you can find out the gaps, introduce a product or service, and be able to create a successful business out of it. But yeah, childhood dream, always been a doctor. If I'm given a chance now, I would probably go back to medicine.
I mean, I would say, I'm a doctor myself, and I truly believe that the education that we have to go through is literally 20 years, 2 decades of life. And
the principal was right.
Yeah. But it's a very you feel very good when you help somebody, and it's a humble job, and I think it's a but a time commitment, and it's like a meditation, kind of going through all this time. I totally agree. But I'm glad you're here. We're talking about entrepreneurship. I just wanted to know for all the entrepreneurs, their mindset, and what, like, for example, the next question probably is going to be for you as an entrepreneur, who and what inspires you every day to be productive?
Brilliant question, honestly, Dr. Maskey. I mean, it's not who inspires me, it's what inspires me. What inspires me is it's the capacity to change something, to improve something. I wake up every morning at 4 a.m. literally 7 days a week, with one thought in my mind: what am I adding today to what was given to me yesterday? How I'm improving something, how I'm changing something. And I feel like a kid in a candy store, honestly, with that thought. Because you walk in and you're like, oh, I want to get this chocolate, and I want to get this thing, and I want to get this thing. And exactly that way, I wake up with a thought, an agenda in mind. I want to have this meeting, I want this meeting, I want to get this answer, I want to find out this answer. Where are we heading, what we are doing? So trying to find out answers to that. Inspiration comes from within for everyone, honestly. My mom always says that, look, it's about you, what you want to become in your life, and what the goal you set up for yourself. You can tell a child or anybody, look, you need to do this, you need to do this. If it doesn't grow within you, the external pressures don't do much at all. The inspiration needs to come from within you, that you want to do this, you want to improve on that part, you want to change those things. Otherwise, you can have a bunch of people talking to that person saying, you can be an entrepreneur, you can do that. Absolutely. If it's not in you, it's impossible. It's absolutely impossible for that person to see through other people. Other people can inspire, don't take me wrong, that, oh, I want to be like Nelson Mandela, or I want to be like Gandhi, or I want to be like Bill Gates or Steve Jobs or Mark Zuckerberg. I want to be. Absolutely. But I call it entrepreneurs, right? You want to be like that. If you want to be an entrepreneur needs to come from within you.
Yep.
It needs to figure, you need to be able, your thought process need to be able to figure out what are those gaps? How can I fill in those gaps? And if I'm filling in those gaps, money comes, profitability comes automatically. You just need to have a capacity to think through the problem set,
Right.
think through the solution set, and be able to execute on it. And not all executions happen flawlessly. Every execution has a lot of flaws. We just don't get to see them once they become successful.
Absolutely.
But you need to be able to embrace those flaws, embrace those flaws and be able to cover those and come up with solutions and come up with better ideas and constantly improving yourself. If you constantly improve yourself on day-to-day basis, you will get to your dream goal. Maybe sooner, maybe later, but you will. Most people, Dr. Maskey, they give in. They give in. They are their own worst enemies. They think of an idea, great idea, I have this idea.
Right.
But the fear of jumping into the idea keeps them away.
Yeah.
You know, like standing by the ocean and you say, it's too deep, may have sharks, may have this, may have that. You would never put your even pinky toe in the ocean. Exactly. You'll just stand outside forever. But if you just figure out that, look, I want to get in and be able to embrace your failures. Most of us, we are afraid of failure. Your best friend should be your failure. You know, the failure is your best teacher. So that failure would allow you to think through and say, okay, now how can I do it? You just need to have one thing, perseverance. See your failures, improve on it, see again, improve on it, improve on it, improve on it. And then we come up with, we all say, Einstein did this or Edison did this. Yes, they did it, but nobody talks about how many times they failed.
They failed, yeah.
Yeah. How many times Elon Musk blew up rockets before he could have vertical landing? We just say, he did vertical landing. Kudos to him. I mean, he's a smart guy and he's doing it. But how many times he failed? And then he learned, and then he learned, and then he learned. That's where, as an entrepreneur from across the world, not even in the US, from around the world, every single entrepreneur I've seen, they are afraid of their own failures, and that keeps them away from taking the first step.
Yeah. I totally agree. I like what you said. One thought when you wake up and having that intention and taking action, which is the key to success. And you have done it. And, we all wanted to, basically have some kind of, for me, it's I call it, motivation and purpose in life. Right. So for me, it's the same thing. I want to, do something for 200 years from now. Right. That's a dream big and kind of goal, and every day I work for that. But thank you for sharing that. We're gonna dive into your amazing company you have built for past 30 years. I want to just go before the safer. We're gonna talk briefly about previous company. I want to know myself, like how we got into those, and maybe people will hear more about it. Let's talk about the GSquad Tech you built in 2012. A little bit more about, and also your contribution to Columbia Business School.
Yeah, so 2012. 2005, Congress passed the Real ID law, and the goal was to provide more secure credentialing to the U.S. citizens. In 2012, one of my company, I built a company, and that got involved into creating Real ID driver's license and the secure ID, border security, and so on and so forth. Again, all of my companies, my mantra has been single-fold. If it's saving lives, if it's helping community, if improving something, I'm in. You would not find me creating things just for the heck of it, because it's just making money. Money would come, but it has to make some meaning. It has to have some meaning. My job portal, my ed tech business, and I'll say for care also. Because again, one thing, probably you and I discussed that in the past.
Sure.
I always tell people that close your eyes, a simple exercise, close your eyes, think that you're 75, 80, which is the average age of a human.
Yeah.
And look back. What have you accomplished? Just think, what have you accomplished? And if your accomplishment is solely on monetary goals, then that's a very, very finite or very limited vision that you have had.
Yep.
What was your impact on the universe? What was your impact on the world? As a human, you came in, first 20, 30 years of your life is in studies or trying to figure out who you are.
Right.
Last 20 years of your life is in retirement. You can't even do much at all. Like, really?
If you go to the retirement.
Exactly. Get to that. If you get to that. And then you're left with 20, 25 years in the middle, right? And out of that, 1/3 of the life is spent in sleeping. And the other 1/3 is life is spent in family or friends or going out.
Yeah.
So you're pretty much left with maximum 15 to 20 years of active life, maximum. I mean, even if you stretch it out or kick your friends and family out and then just focus on your career, you're just left with a very limited amount.
Yep.
What do you want to do in that limited time period? What goals you want to accomplish in that? What was the impact of yours in this world? And that's where GSquad Technology or Career.vi or Next Grade or Safer Care comes in, because each one of these enterprise, they are basically attacking joblessness or lack of education in South Asia side of it, or national security, helping secure the borders of the US and people over here. And in healthcare,
that's amazing.
You can get rights to people. Each one of them is impacting socially one segment or the other. So I think that 6 years of development economic study and thinking of improving societies is still in me and alive in me, and I'm trying to figure out how we can, and frankly speaking, no idea can happen alone. People like yourself, or like others who would come around. It takes the whole village to raise a child, like we all say.
Absolutely.
Same way, you need people like yourself and others who come on board and say, you know what, let me pull some weight as well. Let me help you with this. And there's some great people. I mean, I was blessed to have people who came in, they believed in me. We recently brought on board, I know we are not talking about Safer right now, but I brought on board some people who are amazing, even in Square, who introduced me to people, who opened doors for me, who helped me think through. And that has been my entrepreneurial journey. And on the Columbia Business School, the funny story is that I got a call that I'm going to be awarded 50 Outstanding Asian American Business Leader Award. So I thought probably it's a prank. Right? And I'm like, okay, it's a prank. I hung up. I got another call. I'm like somebody's on the other side laughing. Those fake lottery ticket kind of a situation. So eventually that wasn't the case. That was true. So I was in New York. I was awarded by Asian Development Business Council 50 Outstanding Asian American Business Leader, and I got introduced into Columbia Business School sounding board at that time to say that, hey, can you help our MBA and BBA cares in thinking it through? I'm always there to help people in entrepreneurship. It's very deep to my heart. I really want people to be an entrepreneur. That's the one thing that gets me going. So that was there, and then I got involved with Forbes and started writing for Forbes, speaking at the universities, some panels. So the journey continued on. Right now, with the load that I have with Safer, I hardly find time to sleep. So I have to cut down some of the stuff, right? So.
Sure, definitely. We'll talk more about the Safer right now. So let's start with that and why you started, when you started. Kind of curious about the journey and what challenge you're trying to solve with the Safer.
So we did start as a rideshare focused on women's safety and women empowerment. We brought on board with that thesis a lot of women drivers who never drove for two big majors rideshare company. But we also knew that women make majority of the decisions in the household.
Absolutely.
Specifically healthcare, transportation, healthcare appointments and all that. Anybody who's married, they would know that, wife would start telling you, you have an appointment, you have this, you have to pick up, you have to do this. And we still forget. I mean, I will admit that. But
humans are a real creation of the human being. We are without, we'll not be here without humans, right?
I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, we knew that we're going to go towards healthcare. When COVID-19 hit, we started looking into the healthcare transportation market, and we saw big gaps. Number one gap was that hospitals or healthcare providers end up in losing around $150 billion a year for patient no-shows every year. Patient show up, or sometimes when patients get discharged, they don't get picked up immediately. They get picked up after 3-4 hours. Now that bed is occupied for those hours, and nobody's there to pick up. The other side we saw was even with Medicare, Medicaid patient, there's a huge double-digit no-show rate going on, even with the presence of rideshare market out there. Specialized transportation market was not absent completely. It's very difficult to get in. If you need a wheelchair transport or bariatric wheelchair, very, very difficult to find that. And there's a very cumbersome process towards it. And the third part was we saw that non-emergency medical transportation providers across the country, they're fragmented, they're not talking with each other. There is no direct connectivity with the EMRs, electronic medical record systems, or health record systems. So there is a lot of frauds and gaps happening across the industry. So with that in mind, we build a platform and a very, very powerful platform. And the platform allows us to provide seamless connectivity between EMRs and the payers and the patients and the healthcare provider. And with that, we can check if your insurance covers your transport, so you don't have to pay. You can check if your healthcare provider may try to reimburse your transport, if that's the case. Or we can find out, if you really have an appointment or, what time you have an appointment, so we can pick you up and we can take you over there. And what we have done is we have consolidated this non-emergency medical transportation market. And by doing so, we are very aggressively growing. And the goal is, frankly, to reduce the patient no-shows. So they don't end up in ER, and they don't end up with, because you know that if you're no-show, you're not going to get an appointment tomorrow. It's going to be, Dr. Maskey is busy for next 6 months. We will schedule something after 6 months. And the guy is dead. Right?
I agree. It's a real challenge,
It's a real challenge. So you have to be at the appointment. I mean, we were talking with some hospitals. Can you imagine in surgery department, there's a no-show rate of above 20% in surgery department.
Man, that's a lot.
Transplant, especially when you're talking about transplant departments.
That's huge.
I mean, I'm like, this is huge, because if that poor patient cannot get his or her transplant, then when would be the next opportunity for them?
You're listening to the Dream Big and Think Different podcast with Dr. Sachin Maskey. Be sure to stop by sachinmaskeymd.com to download a free copy of Dr. Maskey's book.
Again, it's a big problem, and I think that's one of the reasons I got excited and being a part of this company is trying to solve a big problem. And which is honestly a real problem. As I am a practicing physician, I know that for sure. And so how exactly is SAFER gonna help reduce the healthcare cost?
That's a very good question. So healthcare cost goes up through a few ways. Number one, when there's a patient no-show, they will end up in ER, right? And ER costs a lot more than preventive appointments.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Thousands of dollars,
exactly.
Yeah.
So by making sure that the patient shows up for their regular checkups, we reduce the ER visits. That's one. Number two component is when the patient get discharged, they can get picked up immediately. So the hospitals can accommodate other patients who are in the waiting lounge or in the ER to go up to get a room. So we reduce that cost. Number three is the possible frauds that are happening in this whole overall ecosystem, where maybe patient doesn't even have an appointment, but they're trying to get free ride. How we can provide them, how we can check if they have an appointment to begin with, and then provide them a ride. So we reduce that possible gaps as well. Or the driver credentialing, where we know that the common practice has been out there where one driver is credentialed or one vehicle is credentialed, but that vehicle and driver is not the one picking the patient up. Somebody else in some other vehicle is picking up. So that's not a credentialed vehicle. So that creates gaps, and gaps means cost, and cost means that goes into the healthcare, that goes towards the CMS, that goes to the Medicare, Medicaid, or some other insurance. When you go into behavioral health side, that's even also worse. When you talk about that 40% Americans feel lonely, according to the recent Surgeon General report, or more than 40%, then how you can reduce the loneliness by providing them transportation so they can meet their loved ones or the family members and go out and so on and so forth. How you can provide medicine on time, how you can provide anything you talk about, or there are food deserts across the country. How can you provide meals to them, especially to the diabetic patients and other patients? How you can provide rides to the Native American tribes as well, which is a huge problem over there. So these are the simple gaps that are across the board that is costing healthcare system in billions and billions of dollars.
Wow. Yeah, that's interesting to know, and amazing you explained so properly. So I guess I'm gonna switch a little gear about Safer right now in terms of you're trying to solve a big problem. I got excited. I actually is one of the investors, as I said before, of amazing company. I've been a investor for a long time. Especially, I focus mostly in real estate, but I also focus on other startup company. What I realized different between Safer and other startups are when I started talking to you, I saw that passion and I saw that obsession that you have. And plus, everything is so transparent. Like when you have a data room that like yours, all the company legal docs, all the subscription documents is so professionally done. I wanted to hear from you, how can actually people get involved and kind of be part of this company, not only trying to solve problem, also how they can generate income or and wealth investing in a company like Safer?
I would tell you in general, okay, we all say that you become a millionaire by investing in real estate, and you can be a billionaire, become a billionaire by investing in companies, right?
Absolutely.
So,
the right company.
It's all about execution, right? So it depends on how, if someone has a good idea or someone comes across a good idea, I would say, first of all, vet them, of course, figure out that if there is really a need for this, or there's a niche, there's a good go-to-market strategy around it. And I'm giving you an answer, in a very generic way, so people can see things beyond Safer as well. So they come across some ideas. Hey, I have this idea from family, friends, and all that, how they can be a part of it. And once you do that, then if you are an accredited investor, which is a term people use in investment side of it, which means that you have a certain wealth minimum, or make a certain amount of money every year, then look into that. Try to be a part of the entrepreneurial journey with those entrepreneurs. Open doors. Don't be a passive investor. Open doors for them and get involved with them, and then see what you can do about it. Mm-hmm. I've seen, honestly, companies, not every company will become $1 billion company, but if with your help and your support, some companies become 10 million, 5 million, 20 million, $100 million company, A, you're generating wealth for yourself, and B, you're contributing towards positive impact of that company in the society. And that's where your social impact comes in. That's where your monetary impact comes in, and so on and so forth. But you need to be astute about it. You need to be very, very, very astute about it. You need to know how tech works, what is the market, what's the go-to-market strategy around that. And frankly speaking, this is where I tell people that, look, you can have a great idea. There's a guy who reached out to us. He had an idea about an app, but I basically talked him out of this idea. Why? Because this idea was great, but even if he has a product by the end of the day, what's his go-to-market strategy? How is he going to take it to market? How is he going to position himself? So do you have that in you or not? He was an entrepreneur. He's not an investor, entrepreneur side of it. So I always tell people that you need to think through all your steps. And if you're an investor, of course, you have to think through all those steps as well. Early investments are riskier investments, frankly, and higher risk, higher return as well. And you're able to take that risk. You're able to help. You'll be able to understand and comprehend. I think somebody said that don't invest in something you don't understand, right?
Right.
So if you understand that market, and at least you can understand the problem set and the solution set, and can believe in the team behind it, then go ahead. Effortcare.com. We are expanding very rapidly across the country, but at the same time, what I want to say is that people should see beyond even Safer Care. That anybody in the family members, friends, if they're coming up with some ideas and they can be a part of those ideas.
Yeah, absolutely.
Part of those ideas. Encourage people. We all know your worst enemies are the people around you. You come up with an idea, they say, it's not going to work. And you're like, there you go. There's the idea through the window, right? Be supportive. If you think that is supportive, it can help someone, help create that entrepreneurial journey, especially for your own kids. If any one of your audience has their own kids and they are coming up with some ideas, don't say that, it's not going to work, blah, 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 focus on this, don't this. Let them do it. Let them have fun with, and they may do a mistake for a couple of $1,000s and end up in losing you a few $1,000s, but by the end of the day, they would learn valuable lessons that they cannot learn from even Harvard Business School. Reading books doesn't give you that experience than actually making money and losing money, right? Where you
Yeah.
actually learn valuable lessons.
You'll
So
never forget.
you never forget those lessons. So
Yeah.
that's why I always tell people, think entrepreneurial, think beyond yourself. If you can do it, then go expand beyond your network and figure out the gaps like around you and see that who is coming up with an idea that can cover that gap. And frankly speaking, that's the mentality of an investor, that I don't have to work.
Mhm.
Let some entrepreneur do that work, but I know the problem and I know the solution. But I don't want to go ahead and go through the grind. So here's my money. You work hard along with your team
Yeah.
and make it happen. So
Yeah.
you make money and we make money too.
Yeah.
And that's the flip side of thinking as an entrepreneur, right? I mean, like if
Yeah.
I think of an idea and I'm like, yeah, that's a great idea, but I don't want to walk into that. And I come across, honestly, Dr. Maskey, every single day, ton of ideas. But sometimes I'm like, I don't want to deal with it. I mean, it's a market. So I look for people who can deal with it.
Yeah.
Then I say, okay, you need money, I will invest with you. Why don't you deal with it? And I will help you grow the company. I will
Okay.
open doors for you, but I don't want to do the work.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, is going to be especially the message to your audience, that uh, when you talk about dream big and generate wealth and all that, generating wealth comes with dreaming big. Number one, you have to dream big. You have to then execute big. You can't just simply think small and then say, oh, why I'm not a billionaire or multi-millionaire, right? You're thinking too small. Either you get involved yourself, come up with the idea yourself and execute on it, or you find somebody who's interested and invest with him or be partner with him or her. And
Absolutely.
And yeah.
Yep. One thing I would like to add on is, I mean, I have invested in a lot of startup company, and what I normally do is I try to bet on the jockey rather than the horse.
Yeah.
The reason is, the horse can be good. I mean, the people or the team behind the company, the intention of the people, what they're trying to solve, and how like real the people are. So try to meet them, have dinner with them. I'm lucky to have the founder of the company, Syed, who is here in Massachusetts, and we got together multiple times. And after I know him, what he's trying to solve, then I really like the product and other things. That's secondary. But for me, it's the person behind the company. Is important.
I would concur. I would definitely support what you're saying. It's a team that matters by the end of the day.
Right.
You can take even the crappiest idea and you can make it a very successful output based on the team, a good team. And I always say, look, everybody's a dragon in this world. Some breathe fire and some don't. If you find yourself a dragon that is breathing fire, capable of breathing fire, go with that, because then they will work hard. They will go ahead. They will
never give up.
They will not give.
That's the key.
Yeah, that's the key. They will come in and they will fight every single morning for you. And
exactly.
That makes a difference. That makes a huge difference.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So since we were talking about entrepreneurship, I want to ask you a question that I was curious me in. So give me some insight about the life of startup, and you have done a lot of them, and how others can learn from that,
I was talking to someone and I said, why do you want to be an entrepreneur? He said, well, I don't want to wake up early in the morning. I want to take my weekends off. That's what he was saying. Any other job. And I'm like, my friend, with all due respect, what do you think that entrepreneurs do? They just take the weekends off, don't wake up in the morning, sleep early at night, go out to parties. I said, my friend, that doesn't happen at all. I can't even remember, Sachin, that when was the last time I took a break, like a total break. Like I've done nothing in that. Wow. When was the last time? Never. In 30 years of my life, I've never done it. Like where you see me sitting around, doing nothing, or vacationing and doing nothing, like absolutely nothing. Even if I go to Pakistan, we have a dev office over there. At late, I do all their work over there. Then the US office opens. I deal with them until 2 a.m. of that time, and then go to sleep, and then wake up again and do that again. I need a vacation after that. So there's no time off. So the life of an entrepreneur is challenging.
Absolutely.
It's rewarding at the same time. It is uh, hectic,
Mhm.
but very satisfying. And I'm
Mhm.
using both adjectives around that or words around that, where you can see that it's challenging but satisfying. It's it's hectic, but it's giving you some sort of a sense of achievement, if you will.
Mhm.
It's full of ups and downs. If you have been in a roller coaster, that's exactly how it is. You
Mhm.
feel like throwing up, but you don't want to throw up. You go up and
Absolutely.
down, you get dizzy, but you want to get up and go back
Yeah.
in again in the line. So you
Yeah.
walk back in the line and say, okay, I'm in again. Next round.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's the life of an entrepreneur. And that's why I tell people, if it gives you that, if you have that entrepreneurial bug, it's a huge thing. It's a great thing to have, because by the time you're 60, 70, and 80, at least you have tried what you always wanted.
Mhm.
At least you would have tried, not because, oh, this kept me away from it, or that situation kept me away. Don't make excuses. I
Absolutely.
come up with that. If you have an idea, if you have something, and you can go to grind and show perseverance.
Mhm.
I promise you, you'll be successful.
Yep, totally agree. I think one word for me that came into mind when you're talking about that was sacrifice.
Sacrifice, exactly.
So
You can
because
show up
with
at 6 o'clock soccer game for your kid.
yeah.
There's this recital. You're showing up. In economics, there's a term called you cannot make anything better off until you make something else worse off. This is what happens. So if you're an entrepreneur, you are sacrificing your time, your life, your energy, everything for one goal to achieve that. But I also
Absolutely.
say at the same time that if you are an entrepreneur and you can even create a minor balance with your family, it's the
Mhm.
most rewarding life you can find,
Mhm.
honestly.
Yes, I agree. I agree totally. So thank you for sharing that. And I wanted to go back to Safer now for one more question I'm thinking about. And let me, you can explain it more better. So how can Safer actually help like healthcare insurance company and the patient benefit from the Safer care in the simple language?
In a simple way, insurance companies right now, what they do is that they provide contracts to quote unquote traditional brokers. And when you go into the broker side of it, they still deal with a lot of no-shows. The
Yeah,
thesis of broker is to make more money for themselves, while insurance company thesis is to make sure that the patient healthcare is improved, and so on and so forth. So those theses of broker and healthcare provider, or sorry, insurance companies, they are in conflict with each other. What we have done with Safer is we've created a platform that creates direct relationship between the insurance companies and the transportation providers and patients directly.
so no middleman.
No middleman involved. So the thesis of one organization sits in alignment with the thesis of the end population. So
Sure.
reducing that friction that's out there. We have created a platform that is agile, where patients can request the ride themselves. So instead of calling 1-800 number, we have that too. But
There's an app.
there's an app for that too, so they can do that, or their loved ones can do that. They can check if the insurance covers their transport or not. They can check if they have an appointment coming up and if they want to ride. So they can manage all of those aspects seamlessly. Our idea was simple. Why different entities or players in this ecosystem are keeping data to themselves? Why
Mhm.
they are not sharing real-time data flow back and forth? And then
Mhm.
soon we realized that because that inefficiency is making them a lot of money. On the cost of what? On the cost of the expense of the life of the patients,
Mhm.
cost of the healthcare providers, the cost to the insurance companies. There's a cost everywhere. And no
Absolutely.
one is happy, believe me.
Mhm.
No one is happy. Insurance companies not happy because they're putting a lot of more money and it's costing them still no shows. Brokers are not happy because they're not making enough money than they
Right.
should want. Transportation providers are not happy because they're making a little tiny meager money on that, on this side, that side. Patients are not happy because they have to call somebody, then wait for 3 days and come back and respond, go back and forth, that method that's going for 1980s. If there is a system that no one is happy with,
Mhm.
and the thesis of each one of them is in conflict with each other, nothing is aligned, and there are gaps left and right, something had to be done. And that's what we did. basically brought everything together, seamless data integration, seamless data flow side of it. So that reduces friction on every level.
Amazing. That's great, and I'm very proud and honored to be part of this amazing company you're building, and I'm hoping that people can participate and learn more about it. There's a website and people can go, and we're gonna probably talk about that in a few minutes. But believe it or not, we're towards the end of the show, Syed, and I have two more questions. The next question is, what is the biggest win in your life, and how do you define success?
That's a $1 billion question, my friend. Success is what you think of it, honestly.
Yeah.
Success is very subjective. It's not objective.
Absolutely.
I mean, for someone, success could be $1 billion, but no family life and no spiritual and mental satisfaction. For some, could be a very balanced life with mental and spiritual satisfaction. For some, could be completely spiritual. So it's a spectrum, right? I mean, you can go through all either side, the other side, or in the middle, and it's very subjective. So success to you would be totally different than mine or anybody else.
Agreed.
Some person would sleep without taking a pill and have a nice sleep and wake up and happy. That's successful. Some would be like, okay, you know what? I can take 10 pills, but I need to make more money. That's for him. That is a success, right? You know, those Wolf of Wall Street guys and how aggressive they get after money.
Mm-hmm.
It depends. It honestly depends. So it's like a race. Let's say you and I are walking, and a bunch of people are walking on the track, and we all are going towards success. At a certain point, one of us are going to think, I think this is enough for me. I can't run anymore. Like marathon, like we have Boston Marathon. Some marathon runners, they finish it quick. Some are later, some died, some give in. But they all participated in that journey. That's
right.
number one. Number two, the one who would have participated, someone like me, who'd never ran a marathon. And if I would participate, and even if I don't finish, for me, the success is going to be, at least I participated, right?
Absolutely.
I would be like, Sachin, I participated. Come on, give me something, man. I mean, like, come on, you pat on the back. Yeah, it's a good job, man. You just participated. That's success amazing. For me.
Yeah.
Right. For someone who finished it in minimum time, that's success for them.
Right.
I'm not going to ever be able to achieve their success to get to that minimum time unless I'm very driven as them. Mm-hmm. So it's a very, very subjective term. And to me, the is simply, if you can improve the society in your lifetime, then what you got in the beginning is what success. If you were able to make that change, if you were able to contribute what you went out to contribute, well, if you were able to do things that you thought every idea has a thesis, right? So if your thesis was implemented the right way in the market and was able to bring about the change, that's success. Money comes with it. Money doesn't come, it comes with it. Anyways, anytime you make a change, money would come. But it needs to follow a path. That's, for me, is a success. If by the end of 75, if I get to live that long, or 80, and if you and I said, and we say, look, we came up with an idea, we made a change, and I think we did make a change, or at least we tried.
Yep.
Like same thing like marathon, at least we tried.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or we won the marathon, or we came in second or third.
Yep.
That's our success.
Absolutely. Agreed. Totally amazing. You know, it's amazing. So what was your biggest win what is your biggest win in your life so far?
Not yet. It's not there yet, my friend.
Yeah.
It's just not there yet. Hopefully Safer becomes the biggest win.
Absolutely.
You know, and
it will. It will,
definitely. So look, for me is I'm always looking for better things, more. So one thing about me, anybody would tell you that, you know, you give me the best now, so I could do better. And you give me the better now, so I could do better than that. So I think even if you ask me after Safer, what's your biggest win? I'll be like, look, not yet. I mean, it's going to be a journey. I think that question you should ask me when I'm like 80. 85. Yeah. What have you been the biggest win? And I've been telling you, like,
we'll have a podcast then too, I guess.
Yeah, I'm like, we'll talk about it.
Yeah. But amazing. So again, I mean, towards the end of the show, my last question for today, believe it or not, Syed, is where people can find you And what is the one thing you want to share today to share your wisdom to our listener or whoever is watching this?
Okay, easy to find me, www.safercare.com. You can check our website, comment about it, talk about it, join us. If you're a non-emergency medical transportation provider, healthcare provider, insurance company, join our network. We'll help you save a lot of money and improve your patient life, and we'll work with you as a partner. The wisdom is, I would always tell people, don't be afraid of failures. Go out, make a change, improve something. Think of your life more than from more than the people where you're just thinking about yourself and your immediate people. There are billions and billions of other people around the world outside of the US. They need our help. And if you have the capacity to help them one way or the other, or at least think about it. If you have a business idea, execute on it. Don't sit on the sideline. Don't try to contemplate, if it's going to work or it's not going to work. It may not work. That is fine too. But at least you try. But that doesn't mean that you go out blindly. Do your diligence, figure out, what's the next steps, and then go with it. And most people, honestly, I met with one of the smartest people out there, really smartest people. But the biggest thing was like, oh, what if I fail? So what? That's not the end of the world. That's not the end of your life. And the best part is, we all live in one of the greatest countries in the world. You both.
That's it.
Asia, and this country, it forgives your failures and allows you to rise up again and again and again and again.
Yeah.
And that creates American entrepreneurship and leadership. That creates American, engineering revolution and the leadership in the engineering side of it. And nobody can change it, honestly. Every country comes up, oh, we will be next Silicon Valley, or we're going to be next this, and we're going to be next that. But they don't understand, by the time they are next Silicon Valley is going to be far ahead than you, right?
Yep.
Innovation that happens, and the innovation leadership that happens, and the leadership innovation that happens, and entrepreneurship innovation that happens is unmatched by any country.
It's amazing that you have shared this, but this is a country that we have less than $100. You can set up a company in less than a week. And that company could be $1 billion in less than 10 years. In 10 years.
In 10 years. And every company, we talk about Apple, right? Recent iPhone came, it started from a garage or a house.
Amazing.
So you talk about Dell, you talk about Microsoft, you talk about big names and these are the names, honestly, in our lifetime, at least in my lifetime. When I was a kid, Microsoft was coming up. There was no Facebook. There was no Apple, the way Apple is right now.
No Google.
No Google. There was no Instagram
Uber.
or WhatsApp or Uber or anything. In our lifetime, they came out and so quickly became forget about unicorns, beyond unicorns.
Absolutely.
So whereas the companies like, traditional companies that we thought about, or IBMs of the world, or Fords of the world, and the GMs of the world, these companies bypass them. Look at Tesla. The guy never built a car, ever. Came out and kicking the butt of the traditional automakers. That is the
insane
essence of American entrepreneurship, where anyone who's smart. Do you think Elon Musk grew up and said, oh, I'm going to land a vertical rocket on Earth? And he just, came up and he went with it, and the market supported him. And that made him Elon Musk. That governments talk about him. Or Bill Gates, or Steve Jobs, or Tim Cook, or you name these names, and these names are, they came in our lifetime.
Yep.
And they became bigger than anybody else.
Totally. So I say every time, in this country, as long as you wake up every day, don't give up. And be healthy. Those are three things. I think I totally agree. So again, Syed, thank you so much for your time, and I've been honored and so much proud to be part of in your life, in your company. Looking forward to the long-term journey together with you. Thank you again so much. I would like to thank everyone who was listening and watching today. Is gonna be amazing to learn more about the company and the podcast. We can share and like and subscribe to the channel. That would be great. Thank you so much, everyone.
Let's get you 1 million subscribers.
Thank you. Here we go.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for listening to today's episode of Dream Big and Think Different. We hope you enjoyed it. Please be sure to subscribe to our show so you don't miss any gold nuggets. And we'd appreciate it if you could rate and leave us a review on iTunes, Spotify, and other platforms. Until next time.